Not reflect the views and opinions of our advertisers and management of Pacific Telestations Incorporated. You're watching Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Very honored to have, of course, Dr. Michael Bevacqua. And as we get ready for our celebration of Mes Chamorro month, and actually today you were down there. Mm-hmm. Good evening, first.
Yes, buenas,
the proclamation, I guess, from the Lieutenant Governor or Acting Governor that the holiday now will be what was once Magellan Day and evolved into Discovery Day. Will be now Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day. Mm-hmm. Is it not?
I believe so. It was, yeah, it was a very touching experience being down there. It was a packed, the large conference room was packed full of people, and when they read out the proclamation, it was right on it. It was, you look at the holidays we have every year. Sure. We have several local holidays, but none of them are really focused on the indigenous people, the Chamorro people.
And I've said this, Doc. I've said this. I said, yeah, it's appropriate for us to have a designated day in order to either honor our heroes or our heritage. What that name will be, what we would call it, I have no idea. I'm glad they came up with this. But again, what was once, of course, Magellan Day, right? Was Discovery Day, is now Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Month. The names have changed. Okay, we've gotten politically correct. Over the years, the names have changed, but the celebration has stayed the same, because actually, when Magellan landed on Guam, did he not land on Guam on March? I think March the 6th, 1521, something like that, around that time.
It is interesting to think that that Mes Chamorro starts with sort of Magellan's landing, but it really shows sort of the journey that our people have had in terms of mentally decolonizing ourselves. Because when you ask Chamorro people before, like, who's the most important person in your history? Most people would have probably answered Magellan. Even if Magellan was only here for a couple of days, and he killed some Chamorros while he was here, burned down some huts, and then he just left, and his greatest legacy is giving Guam a terrible name, the Island of Thieves. And so, but most Chamorros thought that, that's the most important person in our history, because of him, Catholicism came later, and, we got put on the map of Europeans. But then it's good that we've, over time, when I talk to my students now about Magellan, most of them they don't think Magellan's all that great. For them, it's kind of like, nah, Magellan, he was a jerk. He came here and killed some people, and then he left, and then died in the Philippines.
He got killed in the Philippines.
Yeah,
he didn't just die of natural causes. I think he brought the same mentality over there, and the people weren't tolerant of that.
That's why. Yeah, that's why. Another scholar always used to say that Chamorros kept Magellan alive so that the Filipinos could kill him.
But let's go back again to the history, because even in Chamorro, is it not a Spanish name? Because what were we called prior to being called Chamorro? Again, it's labeled by the Spanish, I guess, as when we were first colonized. That's when the name came about.
Well, there's lots of different theories as to where the word Chamorro comes from. Because in Spanish, in different dialects of Spanish, you'll find the word Chamorro is there. It's a last name from different sort of Hispanic people. And so that's why every year I always get random emails from somebody in El Salvador, in Spain, in Argentina, who says, "Your people are my last name. Am I Chamorro too?" And so, but it's possible. That's why people always used to say that, because Chamorro in this Spanish dialect means to have big calves, or the calf of a calf. So that means that Chamorros had giant calves.
Giant calves.
They said Chamorro means bald in this dialect. So Chamorros, the Spanish must have called them that because of their head. The style of haircut that they had. But then there's other theories that say that no, actually it was a local name which the Spanish misheard. For example, a lot of older Chamorros used to say that the origin of the word Chamorro is that it's actually Tzat Moru.
Tzat Moru.
Tzat Moru.
Okay.
And so Tzat means not so much or not really, and then Moru means pagan, savage.
Yeah.
And so Moru is a term that the Spanish used to use for, non-European, non-Christian people.
Sure.
And so the theory that people always used to say was, when they came to Guam, they would say, Moru hao, you're a Moru, you're a pagan. And then Chamorros would look back and say, ahi, tsat Moru zu.
Tsat Moru.
I'm not a pagan.
I'm not a pagan. So referring to, hey, wait a minute, you're wrong.
Yeah, so
I'm not that. Yeah.
And that was and then other things is, the highest caste of the Chamorro people back in the day was the Chamorri. And so some say that most likely the name came from the Spanish way of saying Chamorri, Chamorro. So there's all these theories about it. Some people nowadays like to say that it's possible that the people were called Tautauhadza, because we do know from Spanish accounts that they referred to the Spanish as Gilagu, as in, from the north or from the direction of the ocean.
Yeah.
Foreigners,
Gilagu,
outsiders, Gilagu.
We say that when we go back to the States, Gilagu.
And so then the people would have been Gihadza. Or Gihadza. They would have been the people of the land, towards the land. And so there's all these interesting theories as to sort of where it came from.
Now, our people, again, they said we are, a mixture of different, different origins. I guess the original indigenous folks here as well. Besides when we were labeled Chamorro, whatever that may be, that we were once, our ancestors were once out there from somewhere else and had landed on an island by mistake. Basically, they themselves were, I guess, explorers as well.
Oh yes, this is why keeping the name. I mean, if because UMATIC is celebrating Discovery Day this weekend and next weekend, and there's a way that you can celebrate Discovery Day without celebrating Magellan, because you could be celebrating the Chamorros who originally discovered the islands thousands of years ago. Because to think what it would have been like to sail across thousands of miles of ocean against the wind, against the currents, 4,000 years ago. That would have been like the greatest adventure in human history to have done something like that. Without any maps, without any GPS, without any iPhones, or no radio calling for help. So that's why when we talk about Discovery Day, we can still think of it as discovering ourselves. Though the Chamorro people who really discovered this place long before Magellan ever stumbled across this island.
Now Magellan originally actually labeled Guam. He didn't call Guam Island of Thieves, Isla de Ladrones. He had another name for Guam that depicts basically what Guam looked like, that reminded him of a sailing vessel or a sail, right, or something.
Yes. And that's why when his men first came, remember they were starving. They had thought that they could get lost in this big expanse of blue. But then they saw all of these canoes and all these Chamorros in these canoes with food and with water. And so at first they were amazed by the island. They were totally amazed, and they decided to call the island of Latin sails, after the style of sail.
Oh, the sail, yeah.
On the canoes. And so I wonder how different our history would be if we had been known as the island of Latin sails, instead of the island of thieves.
Now, what happened here, of course, is that they couldn't communicate. They had two different languages, basically. So I guess it was just a human to human thing. Hi, how you doing? That type of thing, and we assume at this point that our culture is probably the same as yours. We're the same. We are a people. We're probably the same. So I know the Chamorros were very. Their sacraments, their jewelry, and are very important to them. They had the produce, and of course you had starving explorers, I guess, out there, and when they, I guess, shared their food with them, I guess it's customary that what is mine is yours, what is yours is mine as well. But I tell you what, hold on to that answer. We're going to take a break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back.